Hello, how's it going, everybody? And Virtuous Con, thank you guys so much for joining us. Let me introduce myself really quick. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek, and I'm going to be your host for this panel called Influence Through Content Creation, Building a Career in Social Media. And so I'm going to be talking with a bunch of content creators, full-time content creators. Some of them are colleagues of mine. Well, all of them are colleagues of mine, but some of them I know personally. And we're just basically going to be navigating and teaching, hopefully, people that are in this chat will also like to be content creators or are interested in jumping in that vein. So we're just going to talk about the ups and downs of what it takes to be a content creator and how we navigate the space, building a platform and coming up with your niche and all of that stuff. So we're gonna break it down, all of that. So by the time this panel is over and done, you're gonna make your first video right there, and how we entertain people in these spaces. So let me start to introduce our panelists, and also with that, guys, at the end of the panel, we will be taking a Q&A, so make sure you leave your questions in the Q&A portion. But yeah, so let's introduce our guests. We got my friend, my wife, fantastic Frankie, on the stream right now. So let me, and then we also got Ashley K. Smalls. And so let me read Frankie's bio. Starting by creating a blog with the moniker Fantastic Frankie, with a mission to normalize the female voice, infamously male-dominated nerd culture. That was achieved by creating a nerd debate forum on social media using polarizing statements and speech bubbles for talking points. Her courage to stand up against fans resisting inclusivity quickly earned her the alias Fanboy Fighter. Accepting her new role as an advocate of the underrepresented, she became the go-to for fans looking for a fresh perspective in sci-fi, comics, anime, and fantasy. Never backing down, no, she doesn't. When challenged with racism and misogyny, Frankie has made it her mission to create meaningful nerd content that uplift other members of her community. And then we also have PhD Ashley K. Smalls. Ashley K. Smalls is a PhD candidate at Penn State University who studies media, race, and pop culture. She's also a self-proclaimed nerd who loves all things pop culture. She loves creating content about her favorite movies and TV shows because it's an opportunity to share her passion with others who might feel the same way. Her dissertation is a project that studies Black content creators in the pop culture space and their experience with algorithms, suppression, and building community. I'm gonna have to talk to her after this. Before starting her PhD, she was a social media editor for the Daily News, Complex, and Bloomberg. And then we also have Ali Tomanique. He is an American writer, rapper, producer, animator, actor, and Billboard charting hip hop artist from Phoenix, Arizona. From collaborating with artists such as Lil Baby and Lindsay Lohan, Tomanique's versatility in music has no limits. You can find Ali and his music featured in the Netflix hit series Rhythm and Flow, also rapping and acting in the movie High Strung Free Dance. By using his musical platform for positivity and giving back, Tomanique has received awards from California and Arizona legislature for community service. After years of self-producing, filming, directing, and editing videos, Ali's fans began to refer to him as the Edit God, a name that has since proven to be true through his extremely detailed visual artistry. In 2021, Tomanique's skills in high-quality 3D animation took the world by storm, creating animations for the likes of Rihanna, work, Drake, LeBron James, Snoop Dogg, DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and Tyler, the Creator, just to name a few. Amassing over 100 million views across all platforms, Tomanique animations have become a viral sensation, so much so that companies such as BET and Bleacher Report have partnered with his work. By featuring his signature character, Lil Ali, fans of Tomanique can always tell when a video is created by the Edit God. I'm like, after all that, let me take a drink of water.
Oh, man.
With that, you guys are the official tissue. And so with that, guys, I want to take it one by one, starting with Ashley. How did you get started in content creation?
Well, I studied journalism and decided to go into social media. And so that was kind of how I picked up how to really use social media in itself. And then once to be honest with you, it really became sort of like an entrepreneur sort of mindset in the sense of like, I'm doing this for other companies. Let me do it for myself too. Because I wanted to go deeper into the things that I actually enjoyed. I mean, my bio says pop culture like 12 times, so it's very clear where my interests lie. And then basically just wanting to do that like personal interest. And then I started to look out that I started to make money from it. I was like, wow, we could get paid for this. And so it really was just a matter of just following what I wanted to do and not originally knowing it was going to bring me money and then realizing it could. So I hate to get all cliche and be all follow your dreams and stuff like that, but it is sort of how it.
Yeah, sometimes it's true. It's true. Like cliches are cliches for a reason.
Right.
Frankie.
Yeah, I actually used to work in a totally different field, but was big into like YouTube and things like that. And I think I felt like my perspective and things that I wanted to discuss wasn't really being highlighted because there weren't that many Black women in the space. The Blurred Girl was the only one I could really see, and she was on like Sci-Fi. She was on YouTube making videos and stuff like that. And I think I just kind of went for it. For a time, I was doing it with work. So I was working all day, coming home and spending the rest of my night, like trying to figure out how to content create, going on YouTube. I'm a proud graduate of YouTube University. And then after I felt confident enough, I just started posting. And I think even at my worst, people could appreciate what I had to say. But I agree with you, Ashley. There's definitely an entrepreneurial spirit that you need to truly pursue social media, even down to like taking an L. If you post something that you work really hard on, it may do terribly. The same with any other project. So I think it's something that I learned. I'm one of those people that really just was like, I'm going to do it. I feel like doing it. I think I have something to say. I'm not a journalist I am a journalist. I wasn't a journalist. I wasn't classically trained in the arts. I just kind of watched and learned on my own, which has been fun. I think I love it, honestly.
Ali, same question for you. How did you get started? And then also like with your animation with Lil Ali, like, did you learn that? Did you like Frankie? Were you a member of YouTube University or did you like actually get formal, legit animation training?
No, that's.
And then how'd you come up with the voice?
Okay, that's what's crazy is that my kind of introduction into the game is like a mix between Ashley and Frankie. You know, Ashley was saying like she enjoyed doing what she loved and then figured out that you could make money off of that. And then Frankie was talking about how she just wanted to see things that, you know, she liked. And that was kind of my same thing, was like, I just loved to do it. And I wanted to see more of things that I was interested in. And like, animation just kind of fell onto me. I was initially introduced into like the arts through music, like through the bio that you had read. I've done tons of things through music, and then I kind of wanted to explore my editing side and the animation side. And so I'm a YouTube University graduate as well. Like I'm not formally taught at all. I just kind of was interested and curious, and I would always go online like, hey, you know what, how do you do this? How do you do that? And search things and find information and ask questions. And from that, you know, Lil Ali came about, and the voice was just, I don't know, what I thought would kind of sound funny. And it's funny because I ask people too. I'm like, do you think Lil Ali sounds like me? And they're like, no, that's like a totally separate person for me. So it's cool to have, you know, them kind of relate and connect with Lil Ali.
Yeah, like Lil Ali definitely sounds like, and just the whole persona and everything sounds like a character that should have been on the Boondocks.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of inspiration. Yeah.
I could totally see it happening. And I do also feel like, you know, especially with all of us being Black, like there is a lot of like marriage in the sense of like, we all wanted to be what we didn't see in terms of like content creation. Because I know like for me, being a Black gay comic geek, like a lot of the people that are talking about movies and comics and all of that stuff, like everybody, like there a lot of them, especially the ones that have prominence, are straight white men. But then when you do see, at least again for me, then when you do see other content creators of color, Black content creators, a lot of them are also straight. And so there are characters, you know, queer characters and things like that I'm interested in that I didn't hear anybody talk about. And I'm like, or like I love like Wiccan and Hulkling and Marvel. And I hear people like mention it, like, yeah, nobody cares about Wiccan and Hulkling. I'm like, but I do. Like, I want to talk about, and I know other people that do. And so throwing in I have references for days, but throwing in like a Thanos reference from Age of Ultron, it's like sometimes when you want to see something done, you got to do it yourself. And so also which goes into my next question, because a lot of people do say that, oh, I want to create content, I want to do what you do or whatever, I'm scared, or, you know, I don't know how people are going to judge me or whatever. So what was that moment? And again, this is for all of you. What was that moment that you made, or rather, do you remember what your very first post on social media was as Fantastic Frankie, as Ashley, as Tomanique? And also, do you remember what it was that made you go, okay, I'm about to, you know, create my first video?
You said like, what was the first? I'm confused.
I'm saying, do you remember what your first video, like your first video was?
I
And then
definitely.
what was it that made you go, okay, this is what inspired you to actually take that leap?
If y'all don't have, I got a great story for this one. So back in 2010, I think it was, maybe 2010, I was just at school with my friends, and then one of my homies, Jacob, was like, man, it would be hilarious if like you were a rapper, you know? And so I remember going home. This was like prime YouTube. This was like 2009, 2010, right at the beginning of YouTube. And I remember going home and just like, man, it would be funny if I like made a song or something. So I got on my laptop using GarageBand and a Rock Band mic and like just recorded some trash music. And I uploaded it to YouTube for my friends so I could go back the next day and show them at school. And I started noticing the views were going up. It was like 100 views, 1,000 views, 10,000 views. I'm like, where are these people coming from? You know? And from there, I just kind of got addicted to the idea of like, oh, I can create something and share it with the world. Like this is insane. And from there on, you know, I just kept going.
Yeah. My first post, I remember it because I worked so hard on it, and I look back at it and it's terrible. It's garbage.
Right.
I can't believe people watched it, but yeah, it was it's Piccolo Black, and that was something I really worked to figure out what was my first post going to be. And honestly, me trying to figure out what kind of page was I gonna have. Like, was I just going to review, like be a full reviewing page, or was I gonna be like someone who did social commentary? And I decided on the latter, and I thought that would be a great way to kind of say what I'm about, which is like, you know, there's Black people everywhere. So I did that video. Ali, it wasn't as hot. It probably got like 100 views. But you know, I was living it up. I felt good. I did it on my little iPhone. I had taken some like free classes on marketing. So I had taken some pictures like on my couch with the like a little switch I got in off of Amazon. And I don't know, I really liked that there were people commenting, right? Like I posted it and people were discussing things. And like, I felt like I was building a community off that first one. And since then it was hooked. I was like, man, I love this. I love being able to just speak out into the ether and then have people kind of talk back, you know?
Yeah.
You see how he's flexing? No, he's like, yeah, my very first post,
I
got
10,000, 20,000,
40 billion views.
Check this out. It wasn't even that it was good. It was that I was young and I used that as the title. Like, you know, when you're looking for content on YouTube, people like to clickbait you or whatever, but this was before the ads and everything. So the title was 13-year-old Black kid raps fast, and people are like, well, let's see this, you know, and they clicked on it, and you know, and that's kind of how it took off.
Yeah, I should.
I'm like, my first post, like it was, I was so hyped talking about Avengers Endgame that I just had my phone just like this, terrible lighting, all of that. It got like what, 50 views, but so when he talking about 50 million or whatever views, I'm like, all right, you flex a little bit. But we all got to start somewhere. But Ashley, same question goes to you, but I'm going to add on, like, in terms of like your post, not only you jumping into the social media and pop culture space, but then adding, what made you take the extra step to want to actually be like a PhD scholar, like a studied actual like professional in terms of like the media space?
So they kind of go one and the same. Like I started my program here. I go to Penn State because they'll find out about this eventually.
Flex.
And but you know, and I was trying to I was a PhD in geek culture, which is basically my cohort. They joke, they're like, oh, she's getting her PhD in Marvel, and it's like I'm in the same program as you. But basically, what it was is that you know, I was taking my classes here, and I was during the part where we have to figure out what it is exactly that we want to do here. And I was like, all right, I know I want to do social media because at that point I already dedicated so much of my life to it. Like I talk about Marvel all day. I talk about being a fan all day. So how the hell am I supposed to like figure out how to intertwine all of this and basically say, this is what I'm all about. And that was around the time when the pandemic happened, TikTok blew up. And, you know, at first it was basically everybody was dancing. I was like, I'm not getting on that because I'm not doing that. I can't do that. But then, you know, it started to change and people were using it to like basically build community. And instantly we saw that Black people who look more like us were struggling a bit to get views, whereas people, non-Black people would do the exact same thing and oh my gosh, they're getting invited to Marvel premieres. And
or even worse, mediocre content. And
well, you know, and so basically I was just like, okay, I want to investigate this further because there was a lot of conversation happening around how these apps work. Algorithms of Oppression by Sophia Noble was already a book that had been published years ago. It was focusing on Google specifically, but we see how it's applicable to even, you know, well, YouTube is owned by Google, but how it's applicable to basically any social media platform in general. And I just felt like, yeah, I could talk to my peers about this, but it's not the same as me doing it personally. And since this is my space anyways, I might as well. And my goal, my first year when I really decided, all right, I'm going to do this because this is what I'm going to write about. My goal was to get 10,000 followers on TikTok. I was like, if I can just get that, if I can just get there somehow, some way, and then write about my experiences and what I've dealt with, and then also interview other content creators in that space who have way more followers than me and deal with bigger things than me. Like that's how I want to cultivate my dissertation. I believe I have over 30K followers, and like my content has done things on a level in which, I mean, I could go into my first video, which is like, I don't know if it would really be my first video, but like the one that blew up for me would be the one where I tweeted, I made a skit about touching Chris Evans' beard, which I have done. And I don't know why I did that, but it
that's
was
the biggest flex I heard all day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was my first post that went to a place of like, anyone, like, yeah, my comment section that day was very much insane. But like, you know, that from that, I was like, all right, we're going to keep this going. We're going to keep making content. We're going to stick within Marvel. And then I started to also expand and things like that. I did touch Chris Evans' face. Yes, he let me do that. And
yeah, I was gonna say I saw you on Instagram. I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to fight her when I get on the show. And she got a picture of Chris Evans and Simu. I'm like,
I did, oh. Yeah, Simu, yeah.
I'm like, what did Chris Evans smell like?
Yeah, that is the first thing that I am asked. I'm actually meeting him again, and I'm like, I hope he doesn't look at me crazy when I go in for a big whiff. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have
it's to. Funny, I know, yeah, because people ask, because I met Frankie and I met Jonathan Majors. A lot of people are asking me that same thing. Like,
I'm jealous.
I was working. I was working. Like,
see, but you know what? The universe knows not to let me meet Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, but this is I keep saying this is the hand that touched Jonathan Majors twice.
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah.
I had to shower like this for like.
Nah, that's wild.
That's a joke. I'm clean, y'all. I took a shower.
Allegedly.
So he says.
Right.
But also, with that, like in terms of like being a content creator, like so many people are in this space, Black, white, Asian, Native, etc. Like, I want to ask, like, how did you guys determine like your niche, your way of coming into content creation to be different than the fray, Frankie?
I think the niche kind of finds you, to be honest. Like, if you're just talking or doing what you like to do, you start to see what performs the best and what you enjoy right together. Like, what do I enjoy doing and what's performing well? And I think that's where people start to form your niche. I think everyone has their own unique thing. Like everyone's experience is totally different. The way we speak, the way we talk, it's all very different. So I think that's something that will develop on its own. But for me, the niche, like I said, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to kind of connect my experience as an Afro-Latina, as a New Yorker, as a woman, to everything else I read. And as I was talking, I could see what people would respond to and what did I feel good talking about. And I just kind of went down that road.
Yeah, kind of doubling down with what Frankie's saying is like, it finds you. You know, you know what you like to do as an artist, as a creative, and at the same time, you kind of have to find that happy medium of what do people want to see from you. So in my case, it's like, you know, I was making music and it was the fast raps for me that people really enjoyed. You know, I would make songs where I would, you know, talk real deep or do like a love ballad or something, but the fast rapping ability was something that people loved, and they loved the way that I was able to edit and bring videos together. So I'm like, okay, let me just kind of mash the two together with something that I'm also interested in, which was the animation. And I think that's really where the happy medium for me was like doing what I loved at the same time as kind of catering to the people. But at the same time as doing that, you can't always make something directly for the people. It has to come from you and for you.
Yeah, same. So even though I ended up focusing on TikTok at some point, I did build a bit of an audience for myself on Twitter first. And just naturally was always talking about my favorite movies and TV shows, most of those usually being comic book focused. And so when I decided to then try and make content on TikTok, it was just natural to like I shouldn't even say stick to what I know, but to just follow the thing that I know makes me most passionate. You know, I'm like, I could do what I think would be more popular, but it's like, I feel like when you get in front of that camera, especially like when you switch that content to video, people can see what it is you're passionate about. Like, are you doing this because everyone's talking about this thing, you want to go viral, or is this genuinely something that you yourself are passionate about? And like, we have people talk a lot about followers, but I think building an audience is a little different in that you can tell the person who has 3,000 engaged followers who actually like care about what they have to say. And I think that's more valuable than someone with an arbitrary number. And it's like, no one's ever paying it, like, you know, and that comes with you being passionate about what it is that you actually do. And, you know, everyone in my actual life, like, your face lights up so much different when you're talking about those movies. I'm like, yeah, that's what I care about. You didn't go see Quantumania? Did you not see Jonathan Majors? How do you not feel, you know, something in you when that happens? Like, yeah, you're gonna get a different kind of energy from me when we're talking about that.
I be forgetting people aren't all the way in the life the way we are when it comes to Marvel and stuff. One more thing I did want to add too is that if you do enjoy something and it's not performing well, I think there are ways. Yeah, I didn't mean to jump the gun, but just because we were talking about like, it is hand in hand, like what performs well and like, what do you like? But if you do really like something and it doesn't perform well, there's a way, at least I've been successful in kind of like weaning people on to like what I'm doing. You just have to take the pride L of having things that will perform not as well as your other stuff. So you would just slowly put in the content you really want to do, and then people will start to catch on, like, this is what you do. So like for me, I really wanted to review comic books, but you know, everybody's like, I read comics, but then I talk about it and nobody cares.
Nobody watches
it. Nobody watches my stuff. But after a while, I started doing it. And then what began to happen is people started following me only because I was like talking about comic books, or people were following me knowing I would do it. And then it actually, now it's taken off when people know that I'm gonna do it. So I think don't be afraid to still do what you like just because it's not performing well on your page. I say definitely push what does well and continue that to keep the numbers up. But Ashley, to your point, you don't have, y'all don't have to have the numbers. My numbers before last month, this month has been an incredible month for me, but last month I was at 30,000.
She's blowing up this month.
I don't know if it's the Black History Month or what, but like last month I was at like 30 across the board, like 30,000, which is a lot, but small in terms of like social media influencer, and I was still booking the jobs and getting the money because brands would see that even though I don't have 100,000, 200, 300,000 followers, people was talking on my comments, right? People are discussing, people are engaged. So I'd have a smaller following count with the same metrics as someone with triple, quadruple my following count. And I think that's something that's important. People see that I'm passionate and I care about what I'm talking about. So even the trolls want to talk to me, right? They discuss it, they're being mean, but they're still all up in my comments, helping that engagement, showing other, which I can then leverage and be like, look how many people talk to me. Look how many people I talk to every day, you know?
And that also goes to something that Ashley mentioned. It's like, yeah, the most important thing is building the community more so than building the follower count, because I've seen plenty of accounts that have like 1 million followers and all of that, but then they don't even have 100,000 views on their videos. And so it's really about engaging with your audience and having that community. That's why I make sure I say in front of every video, welcome to my safe haven. So you know when you're coming into my channel, what you're going to get. It's a place that's going to be inclusive for all queer folks, because especially in this nerd space, a lot of times we don't really get pandered to. And a lot of people want to use that word pander as a negative. And I'm like, straight white men have been pandered to since the beginning of American history. And even before that, I want you to pander to me. It's just do it right and do it authentically. So I don't see that word as a negativist. And going to what Frankie said, what I was talking about, because I was going to be my next question in terms of like, do you ever feel sometimes pigeonholed by, sometimes it's like you do certain videos and do really well, but then we're onions, right? To take a Shrek reference, we have layers. And so we're not just interested in the one thing. And so like, I remember one time I reviewed anime, nobody watched it. And it's like, damn, but I like anime though. Right? Or like this month for Black History Month, I'm talking about, instead of talking about nerd, because Black gay comic geek, instead of talking about nerd stuff, I'm talking about Black films and film history, which I think were important. And at first the views weren't that good, but then eventually, sometimes if you build it, they will come. And so the views really started to pick up. And people started engaging more, like, oh my God, I didn't know about that movie. Or now I'm going to go back and look. And then funny enough, it got me a deal with Rodney Barnes, who coincidentally was making a comic about Blackula. And that was one of the movies that I was spotlighting. So I say all that to say, don't feel like just because you have one main passion that you can't also branch out and do other things. Because again, we love, like I like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, etc. And if you have the passion for it, people will come and engage with it. And so going back to the question, have you guys ever had that? I know Frankie already answered it, but Ashley and Ali, like, where sometimes you feel like you don't want to be pigeonholed or into certain, or sometimes you're like, dang, I really like this, but it didn't perform well, but I'm still gonna post it anyway. Or you're like, nah, this last time didn't do well. I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, I actually just did.
Go ahead. Yeah, take that one, Ashley.
When I first started on TikTok, I was mostly making Marvel content. I still say that's the bulk of what I do. I just did a video, what was that? Maybe 2 days ago, because of the BAFTA viral line, Angela Bassett did the thing, right?
Angela Bassett did the thing.
I decided I did a video about how the actor who played the thing was in American Horror Story, and his love interest was Angela Bassett. And so therefore,
she did the thing.
She did the thing.
She did the thing. Man. Oh, wow.
That's a bar.
I don't know how in God's name my mind worked to take something from a Marvel film in 2005 and link it to American Horror Story and bring it back to Angela Bassett. But that is the most like off-brand this is the type of thing that I will call my friends about in the middle of the day when they're supposed to be at work, because this is what I was thinking about and I need somebody to hear from me. And so instead, because I couldn't get them, I decided to take it to TikTok. And yeah, it went crazy viral. And then somebody reposted on Twitter, once someone take your video on TikTok and they post it on another platform, that's the end of that you have no control in anything.
Yeah, you have no control. Yeah.
That like the sometimes it'll be like the outlandish stuff that hits you that is usually not on, like it's not you doing a Marvel skit or a Marvel breakdown or it just completely steps outside your realm and it's ridiculous and you're like, only my like those 30 followers of mine who just support me in spirit are going to be the ones to just randomly comment on this. But it might find its place, but like you won't know until you do it. So the moral really of that story is like, give it a shot. I think content creation is really going to be someplace, if you want to do it, you're going to have to make peace with taking that L. You're going to have to make peace with flopping probably more than you win. It's just that when you do win, those wins are going to be so big, and it might just put a whole bunch of opportunities on in your lap, but you're just not going to know until you just keep failing your way up and you get there, because that's how you figure out what works and what doesn't. Like now I have a bunch of people making requests for me to figure out what Jamie Lee's All of Us means, and I'm like, I have no idea. I just wanted to say something about Angela Bassett, but like that's, now you have a bunch of new audience members who are like, I want you to do this thing again. And it's like, well, that's not my normal content, but maybe I can figure something out.
And that's also the beauty and the curse of going viral, right? Because sometimes the videos that you go viral for is not your typical content.
Random.
And then all of a sudden it's like, and it's sometimes it's not even like, you don't even put work, at least for me, like, and I don't know if it's happened for you guys. It's like something that you don't even really put that much work into. Right. Like you just do it, like roll out of bed and put up a video, all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
But then videos that you put a lot of work into, effort, research, it go wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
So,
and to kind of add on to what Ashley was saying, I think it's about authenticity too, you know, being authentic to your true passion and finding what it is that you like to post. And I know I've kind of touched on this before, but those videos and that piece of content, it can always be sniffed out. The people can watch you and tell that, oh, you're really about this. And those are the videos that usually do well. So like that idea of like, oh, I can combine what's happening now with a movie from 2005 from The Thing. It's like, it was an inspired idea. It didn't come from you. It kind of came to you and you were just like, oh, boom. And stuff like that. I think those types of ideas and those types of passionate, authentic, movement based kind of ideas, it comes to you naturally, and people can really they appreciate authenticity.
But speaking of inspired ideas, I want to know from each of you, who inspired you and who still inspires you to this day?
Now, wait, before we even jump into that, I got to commend you, man. Like the way that you ask questions and how you brought this together, bro. We got to give it up to you, dog.
Thank you. You about to have
Mike is the truth, man.
You did that.
This is Mike's first interview.
This is my first time moderating a panel. So,
bro, your moderation.
I was mad nervous before it started.
No, you did research.
My hands are like.
No, you're doing great.
But now, now that we into it, I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, let's
conversation.
Yeah, you're just talking. But I think inspiration for me comes through all types of things. Like my like I keep saying, my main source of like artistry is music, actually music first. And I'm inspired by people like Tyler the Creator or like J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar, or not just rappers, but people who are also creative individuals. Drake to be one of them. And people who can create outside of just music. And I take that and I notice those type of things and I put that into my own content. And try to just be inspired by music, by artists, by movies, by just life in general, my family, people around me. And it's just kind of like a melting pot of inspiration for me.
Yeah. My inspiration is very chaotic. At least when I started my page, there's this YouTube channel called Film Theory that I really loved. And it's a white man. I'm sorry, I know it's Black History Month, but his stuff is really good. His stuff is really good.
Cancel.
He'll break down the wildest things. Like, I think the video that really got me was he was measuring how much sweat Bakugo would need to like do a certain blast. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about, the nitty gritty, like the stuff that people not really into. So he was a
that's
big
like
inspiration.
the real sweaty nerd.
Yeah, the sweaty nerd, but I'm a sweaty nerd. I just don't look like it.
Facts.
Like, I'm one of those nerds who like, you know, if something happens, like let's say okay, like when I was watching Luke Cage season 2 was in Crown Heights, and Luke Cage lives in Harlem, which is an hour ride on the A train, if any of y'all know. And the whole time I was watching him have static in Crown Heights, I was like, Luke Cage got to keep that anger for 45 minutes on the A train because he don't have a car. So it's just stuff like that I was thinking about. So definitely film theory, and then Issa Rae, the way that she spoke, the way that she kind of conveyed that Black people are not a monolith. I was like, they ready for me. Like if Issa could be out here and just be herself and still do whatever she wants, I can also be myself, and like, you know, people are gonna accept it, and it worked. I mean, it was pretty cool.
It's funny you bring that up because I'm one of those too that I be thinking about things that a lot of people don't be thinking about, because like I don't know if you guys watch Arrow. Frankie, I know you do, but like you got the character of Mr. Terrific, full afro in one scene, then he suits up, he got cornrows.
I'm like, braiding his hair? Felicity.
And then it's a white cast. I'm like, ain't no blacks.
Nah, Felicity's actually Jewish. But I'm like, so they have froze, and that's where she learned how to.
But I'm like, so y'all got a bank robbery that's in progress. You really sitting for like an hour, 2 hours to braid this man hair? Like how I need to know how this works. Are y'all in like the hyperbolic time chamber where it's like takes a day or whatever in the real world? Like I'm like, I need to know how this works. Like,
but Mike, that's the point too of social, right? I thought I was the only one who thought about those weird things that are, you know, no one cares about. But I would go on social and be like, who is Braden Curtis's hair? And then there were so many other people. Everyone has that community. And I feel like that's the thing, to not be afraid of what your thoughts are, because we have so much more in common than you can possibly guess.
There's 8 billion people. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's something for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Ronald in the comments said he got nanobots to braid the hair.
He got the nanobots.
He got nanobots.
Yeah.
The T-Spears. He got the T-Spears.
It's just straight backs. It's not 2 hours. That's 30 minutes, right?
I don't have hair, so I don't know how it works, but I know it takes longer than 5 minutes to do that. And it's like, it's a bank robbery in progress. Like the criminals escaped unless you got the Flash doing it. Like, but Ashley, who inspires you? And I just want to say, like, people like you that are like PhD candidates, scholars, especially Black women scholars, like I appreciate, we need more of you. Like, I don't know if you know, like one that I know is like Kenitra Brooks, who is a horror scholar. Like, I love her. I have some of her stuff. Like, she's actually, you know, we've interacted a couple of times. She's quoted me a couple. So like, we need more Black women scholars. So I just wanted to say, like, I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. I feel bad going from that, be like, yeah, my inspiration is Beyonce.
I mean, shoot, I'm trying to get them tickets.
Beyonce.
Like, I've been joking for a while. Like, I need to join OnlyFans so I get them tickets, because
I did get the ticket.
It's hard out here.
I have the tickets, and anytime someone talks to me crazy, I'm like, I don't. And you don't know, so it's okay. But I am going to see Beyonce. So
I listen. When I'm actually,
the Beehive is strong up over here.
Like, what I had to like. Because, you know, Ticketmaster wouldn't give me a code. Me.
Yeah.
It's me. Like, what?
Don't they know?
I've been here since Destiny's Child. How could they do that to me?
They should have did a quiz before they started giving out tickets. Okay.
I feel like if you did the pre-sale for the album, then the code should have been, you know. But anyways, we can talk, like, you guys. Virtuous Con, you have to add a panel so that we can talk about that as well. But
yeah, we could do a whole panel on Beyonce.
Like, just on the tickets, honestly.
I would also say, though, honestly, to the Black content, other Black content creators, especially on TikTok, but really even like on Twitter, and honestly, those of you who are willing to, like, you know, be so inclusive, and even like public places like Comic-Con, which, yeah, we make cons that are for us so that we don't have to worry about that. But then, you know, there are the bigger cons that we attend where it can be, you walk in and you're the only Black person, or maybe even person of color in general in a space and things like that. And I remember my first, not my first con, but the Chris Evans one, where I met Chris Evans. I hopped on a plane, went to Seattle to Ace Comic-Con to meet him. I don't know why. Honestly, it's a little embarrassing for Black History Month to admit I got on a plane to meet a white man, but like, I had a friend, her name's
But
Nicole.
it's Captain America though. It's Captain
Yeah,
America.
exactly.
Right.
I had a friend.
Jamal, his middle name Jamal
Yeah,
too.
Christopher
I
Jamal
had a friend,
Evans.
I have a friend, her name is Nicole, and we had only met on Twitter. We'd been following each other for maybe like at most a month. And she found me in the middle of the big ass like space with all, you know, basically all the like, they're selling comics and things like that. I was lost as hell. She runs up to me, she goes, "You're here," and then drags me over to her other group of friends, which were mostly all people of color. And like, that was what made me feel like included. And then virtually, basically people did that for me on TikTok as well, and making me feel like, oh, we can make content about like, how the hell does Miles Morales get his afro underneath the mask so fast and things like that. Like, we can, like, there's a space for us to do that. And that was what gave me the inspiration to feel like I can do this and do more on these spaces than just view and be too scared to say anything, because who knows what will end up in my comment section. Like, that's what gave me the motivation to go and do it.
Damn, I never thought about that. How does he get to Afro? That's
He's
crazy.
still thinking about the braids.
I was like, wait a second.
Baby, don't think about the logic behind the
don't-
CW verse, please. It's a dark hole.
I don't know.
They live in a world with magic. Just say there's like a pocket dimension in that mask.
Facts,
all.
I'm
facts.
stuck. That will have me stuck.
I think it is the nanotech. I think he uses nanobots to braid them. He is, yeah, for sure. I think a bigger question was what Olympics was he in? Because he was supposed to be Olympic.
He was supposed to be an Olympic.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Olympian.
kept getting his ass beat all the time. Like, I'm like, come on, man. Like,
They got basically the actor who plays Chidi Adegone, but not buff, to play this man who's supposed to be an Olympian. It was
and then
crazy.
the thing that irks me the most about his character, to get off topic really quick, is his character is not gay in the comics, but then they make him gay in the Arrow show to, you know, have some representation. But then he's the weakest member on the team. He's constantly getting his ass beat. He's the third smartest person in all of DC Comics. Yeah, he wasn't as smart as like Felicity, and he was always taking a backseat to Felicity. He wasn't as rich as the rest of his. Like, he should be the good guy Lex Luthor in this world, and yet it was trash. It was hella trash. He's like on par with like Nightwing in terms of acrobatics, but yet it was none of that. He was like, Wild Dog is beating you. Like, come on. Man.
I would charge that to CW, and also
it was hella trash.
Who they cast as Wild Dog. But we could talk about that. That's a different.
Yeah, we're not gonna go into all that, but something that we are gonna go into, being that we are content creators and you know, people that may be looking to get into content creation. Like, what was the moment for you where you was like, okay, I see myself doing this as a career?
When I got my first check.
She saw that check and was like,
yeah, okay. All
Said,
right.
this is easy. Yeah. Same. I don't want to say when I got that first check, but I got laid off. And then I got into a creators program and got that check. And I was like, why was I working at that time? So I think that was definitely the time that I was like, oh, this is something I could actually do as a career and make. Honestly, it was more money than I was when I was in healthcare. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's why Frankie and I we get married. So like,
for my money. He only
that tax returns.
You try to get that money.
Yeah.
For me, it was kind of, and I hate to be like, you know, cliche and like I've always kind of been this guy, but like look.
My first video, 50 billion views. That's when I knew.
Yeah.
But no, like, as I look back, it's crazy to see my progression into like what I'm doing now. It's kind of like everything that happened in my life kind of set me up for this. So like back in elementary school, I would be in the band playing the clarinet, you know, so that's the musical side of things. In 6th grade, I remember we had a project that, what was it? It was in my homeroom. It was like a science project or something. And it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember writing like video game designer, and I drew like a stick man in like a motion capture suit. And like back in 2016, I remember I wrote a song. It was called Young Boy. And on the second verse, I was like, just a young boy. I'm from a hot city, leading the people from evil. I feel like God sent me. I feel like Walt Disney. I took my world and made it animated. My brain imagination is underrated. Like from that to then being able to be an animator, it's like, how did, you know, doing theater in high school, it all kind of meshed together, and I'm doing everything that I was kind of put here to do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it wasn't the money, it wasn't the numbers. I think when I started to more so get noticed, like when people started to reach out to me, even just for something as small as like, hey, I really enjoy your content. Would you like coming on our show? I would really like your perspective. I'm like, wait, people want to talk to me? Like, what? Wow. I'm just a guy that likes other guys and likes talking about nerd shit. Like, why people want to talk to me? And then like when getting hit up by Netflix and Disney and all of that, that's when I was like, oh, well, but way before I even got my first check, just the fact that, you know, people actually reached out to me. That's when I was like, okay, maybe
it's real. People like I said, us authenticity. You were being you, and people are like, yo, we like this dude. Even in the comments, I keep seeing everybody like, yo, Mike. Yeah. So it's like, it's real. We love it.
So I think
no, for real. Like, I mean, I technically also have a academia proponent to this. So like that is also my career as well. But I will say that like in terms of teaching, like all of the professors in my department, they teach media. And then for me, it's like when I have my students come up to me and they're like, I saw your video the other day. And it's also just a matter of like, it's different because it's one thing to learn it from, you know, we have excellent professors here, but so many of them have been out of the industry for so long. And then they come across my content. It's like, wait, this is the person who teaches me. Actually, I might want to pay attention. Let me go do her homework because clearly she knows what she's doing. I want to go viral. And it's like, they're young. So like, that's, you know, that's, of course, that's the way that their mind works. But it's also just a matter of like, they want to learn from people who also do it. And it's like, I do love being able to relate to them in that way and actually doing it, not just like teaching them a bunch of stuff from the textbook. So another big aspect of it from me in terms of like how this content creator career basically intertwines with what I'm doing in academia is the fact that like there are students who want to work in just media in general, whether it's content creation or they want to do this for some company that they love. And it's like, I don't want to be the person just retelling them stuff from a textbook. I want to be like, no, I do this. Let's go out. I'll show it to you right now. And so that's a whole like another level of what made me like want to go from just someone who teaches back to someone who actually like does.
Yeah. It's better to learn from the doers than just the teachers. So to be able to be a teacher and a doer is like, yeah.
I got wild questions I want to ask y'all, but I know we got 3 minutes before we got to jump to the Q&A section. But let me ask this, which I think will take up the last time before jumping into the Q&A section. Speaking of doers, in terms of like advice that you want to give people, like if they're like in the chat, like, hey, I want to start making videos. I want to be a fanboy fighter. I'm inspired by Frankie, or like, I want to go and be a scholar or create rap videos or do animation or, you know, things like that. Like, what advice would you give to people that want to get into this space? And then also, what advice would you give to protect your mental health? Because like, you know, especially with us being Black and, you know, Black women and things like that, you know, and I know for me, like I've gotten racist and homophobic comments and things like that. So like, what do you do to like protect your mental space as well? So Frankie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, right. Because I get the most shit. You know, honestly, I can't really give advice. People say, what did I do for protecting my mental health? And I have to say, a lot of the times it's really difficult. If I see that
you talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to my friends, I journal, I exercise, I do whatever people say to relax. But at the end of the day, it does get to you. And I think it's just understanding that these people have no lives and they literally just want to try to bring you down. But like as particularly a Black woman, anytime I see my numbers, like my videos doing well, I'm like, I'm going to start getting people that are really mean. And it's not just white people. Y'all, I don't even
Facts.
From Black men. It's not nice. And it really, initially for me, it was really hard to see. I didn't realize what state the world was in. And I think that the internet shows a lot of things that I think I was shielded from for a long time. So I think taking time to yourself to do something mindless and knowing that these people don't know, like they don't know you, they're just spewing, hey, you're doing the damn thing and that's why they're doing it. is my biggest thing. There was a second part of your question. I forgot what it was.
It was advice, I think.
About advice for people.
For advice is learn how to take advice, but don't forget what you are, because a lot of people give me advice about how they'll run their page, but that don't got shit to do with me.
Exactly.
They're like, you should do this, you should do that, and I'm like,
oh my God, yeah,
fine. But there are a lot of people who can give you good advice as well. So deciphering the two, like when I first started, like I said, my content production wise was booty, but I met Karima and she was like, yo, you know, you could use a boot mic, or someone was like, try to use this. And it wasn't like you should, it was like, this is what works for me. This is what helps. But I think before you start your page, establish who you are as a creator and what you're trying to say, and don't let other people change who you are because of their opinion. Because the point is, what's going to make you special is who you are, and those people don't know who you are, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing that sucks. Like, or it's like a blessing and a curse. Like the blessing of content creation is we get to meet and engage with so many different people. But then the curse of content creation is we meet and engage with so many different types of people. So going like what you mentioned, like I'll get racism and homophobia from white people, and then I get homophobia from Black people. So it's like, come on now. So Ashley, going to you, advice and maintaining your mental health.
I would say I'm going to steal from Issa Rae. She once said that like oftentimes when people talk about networking, they always try to like network up instead of trying to network across. And I would say, especially in content creation, that's really important. Like you're going to get on there, you're going to start building a community, and naturally you're going to meet other people trying to do the exact same thing. And instead of trying to like reach out to that person online who's like already established, probably has a team, they're not even checking their emails anymore because they have people who do that, you know, reach out to that person who's also trying to build that space. If they're making videos that are a little bit more, you know, it has better lighting, has better this thing, you shoot them the message and like, hey, how are you getting that? How are you doing those effects? And they'll probably have some questions for you. You'll probably build a genuine relationship, friendship that will help you to become more established, because you guys will start sharing each other's work. And that will happen. Like that's literally what happened with me. I started meeting more Black nerds on TikTok, and at some point my community was just mostly us, just sharing back and forth our stuff and being entertained, until it started to expand to people who would come in and see what we were doing and end up becoming part of the audience themselves. So that would be my first bit of advice. In terms of mental health, there is absolutely no shame in cutting off those comments, limiting those comments, deleting those comments. I used to be the person when I was in my early 20s and like had way more energy and was much more ready to fight. I would go back and forth with someone all damn day, like, let's go. Who I am now, you talking to yourself. I don't have the energy for it, nor the time, even if I wanted to. And so, you know, use those tools that these platforms have. And yeah, nothing, you know, press that block button. There is though, they will try to gaslight you like, oh, you blocked me, so that means like, no, bitch, I got a life and I'm not about to sit here all day with you. So if you need to convince yourself that you won something, like that in itself is saying something. They need to believe they won. You won what? You went back to your abyss of a room that no one visits you in. Congratulations.
Cypher.
That was a read. She read that.
That was a read.
For me, I think just to add on to that really quick, advice for starting, I always just say, just do it. Like, don't think too much about, oh, I need to get this lighting right or this right. Just jump in. And I feel like you're kind of like sculpting your page. You start off with this block of, I don't know, I'm just shooting in the dark. And then you just go and figure out, maybe I should probably put a light here or get a boom mic here. And then as you go on, you just get better. I feel like it's always better to look back at your first piece of content that you made and be like, damn, that was trash. As opposed to where I'm now, you see the progression. And then as well as dealing with mental health, it's like I did Rhythm and Flow on Netflix. You had Chance the Rapper, Cardi B, T.I., Snoop Dogg was there. I had to throw that in there for the people who might have not have known. If you haven't yet, go watch Rhythm and Flow on Netflix. It's actually a great series, minus me being in there. Well, I mean, I am in there, but just check it out. But there was a part in there where Chance the Rapper was like, you know, going off on me about how I wasn't this, artist or whatever. And people took that to Twitter and just went wild with it. And I was just sitting there watching it happen. And I just learned, like, this is the internet. The more you try to push people away from making fun of you or trying to come at you, the more you try to push back on the trolls, the more they come. So the more you just accept it and just like, man, you can't control it. It is what it is. That's kind of the best mental health, and just close the internet, turn your phone off. I don't know. It does. If you turn your phone off and you look around, it kind of doesn't exist. People are stronger behind the keyboard than they are in person. So
yeah, Tatiana says, don't feed the trolls, but
yeah.
It's hard, man. They be talking crazy.
It's tough. It is tough, yeah.
But that's it for my portion of the panel. Let's get to the Q&A. We got wild questions in here, so we're gonna try to speed through it because we got like 5 minutes left. So I'm gonna start with Carter 7. At the end of the question, I'm not gonna read all of it, but understanding most vlogs are organically grown, would you ever recommend paid marketing to promote videos to boost views and subscribers?
Yeah, especially on TikTok and Instagram. Not a lot of the big pages. There are a lot of huge pages that use solely paid marketing. Bamboo on the Moon is one of the ones that I could think of, Taco Bell, where that you just keep on seeing the ad and you get followers like that, and then you can leverage it after.
Yeah, I mean, with anything advertised, like everything is advertised. Like people advertise on the Super Bowl. Like advertising works. There's a reason it's $1 billion industry.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, pay to get your stuff out to more people that you couldn't reach organically.
Or pay creators.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Or because it's a black fantasy web series. Hit up me. Hit up Frankie. Like hit up people that are in that niche. That can get
pay us.
Yeah,
pay us, and we'll get
as opposed to paying the algorithm. Because sometimes I've paid for like a TikTok video and like $50. And yeah, the video got a lot of views, but then when you click like the metrics, people like they go after people that aren't really in your niche. So it's like, yeah, you technically got the views, but they're not watching your content. So like it doesn't really. So I say the best way is to look for content creators that are in your niche.
I've definitely helped, I think like 3 or 4 comic books sell out, and it was for way less money than they would have paid for paid media. I was embarrassed what I charged.
But also, Frankie, this question is directly for you by Geek of Well. Do you plan your reviews, especially for big movies in advance, like Wakanda Forever, or your review series with Frankie Flames?
No. So depending on my reviews are strictly who invites me to see their screeners. That's how I choose what I'm going to review. And then in terms of what I rate it, I'll be doing that off the cuff. I typically see a movie twice. Like I'll knock on wood, get invited to 1 or 2 screeners, and I watch the first one on my own, and then the second one, I tell the security I'll have my phone out, and then I write notes on the movies, and that's how I make my reviews. And then after I talk about the movie, I'd be like, this flames. Like I don't have like a actual, scorecard or anything.
Next question is, what about partnerships with social media apps, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube creators? So I'm guessing they're asking like, what do you do to get those partnerships?
Apply.
Yeah.
I Google every month, and I've gotten a couple, and I just apply. Most of them, y'all, the application be 30 minutes, an hour at most. What I recommend is make sure you have your favorite pieces linked in like a notes app or something like that. Make sure you can describe yourself. You have a bio, you could talk about your needs. You have your metrics, and then look, every app has a creator program, and then like random apps, Google, like random places will also have creator programs. And personally, that's how I make most of my money.
And to add on top of that, I recommend, if you are serious about getting into the space, having a media kit that you can send off to people, which has your stats, the things that you've done and all that. And then also like not being afraid to reach out to people, because a lot of people will ask me like, Michael, how do you get screeners for this? Or how do you get red carpets for this? And a lot of times, even the big content creators think people are just going to reach out to you. And it's like, yeah, you might have that huge following, but the people that are actually making those decisions, they're not the ones that are watching your channel and watching your account. So if you want to go to a red carpet, if you want to get a Netflix early screener, if you want to go get WandaVision a month early or whatever, Google who you need to reach out. Google the PR people.
LinkedIn.
And send them, use LinkedIn, or I just Google like WandaVision media contact, or Disney media contact, Disney press, Netflix press. And then I'm like, hey, my name is Michael, Black Gay Comic Geek. This is what I do. Here's my media kit. I would love to have early access for this. It's not like I just get it or expect people to get it. It's like, no, if you want it, you got to work for it. And so like, that's how I've gotten most of my screen. Interview with the Vampire, or like Frankie and I went to Ant-Man and the Wasp. I got it not because they reached out to me. I said, hey, I want to do this. And so like, that's something, it's work. It's not just,
Also,
just
get
resting on your
Canva.
laurels.
Y'all get Canva. If you're not in Photoshop suite,
get Canva.
I pray to God y'all get Canva. You can Google Media Kit, you can Google all this stuff, and then it's plug and play, and it's gonna really boost up what you're sending, because I know for a fact that a lot of these places get a lot of inquiries, and like that's a way to stand out, to show that you put effort in it.
Yeah, but it's still more questions, but unfortunately it's oh wait, they said we got 5 minutes. He said we got 5 minutes left. So okay, all right. So, but I guess with those 5 minutes, I'll just have to wrap it up. So with that said, I appreciate you guys for joining this panel. With that said, before we let you guys go, we're gonna have everybody go through and let everybody know where they can find you. So Ashley, let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure. Ashley K. Smalls, basically everywhere. You can also visit ashleyksmalls.com. That's the only thing I would have added to the other question. Also, make sure that you have your own site, because like, we don't own the social platforms, and at any given point they can ever suspend you, shut you down, stuff like that. So like, always have something of your own to go back to. That's the only thing I wanted to add. But yeah, I'm Ashley K. Smalls on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And yeah, you can also visit me on Penn State's site. They are technically my employer.
Ali.
Yeah, Ali Tomanique everywhere. This is my name. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, wherever you want to. Just search my name. You'll find what you need.
Yeah, look for the music.
Look for the music, animation, all of that. I'm not hard to find.
People eating fruit roll-ups without their hand. I'm like, dang, I want to try that. like, can
man,
I do that?
you see that one? Well, I'm on Snapchat too. We got a show called Here We Go on Snapchat. I think you guys would enjoy it. It's like a question show that we do. So yeah, check it out.
Fantastic. Frankie, let the folks know where they can find you.
Yeah, what's up, everyone? You can find me on all platforms at Fantastic Frankie, FRANKEY. Except for Twitter, they won't let me be great. You can find me there at Fanboy Fighter. Yeah, and we debate. I try my best to talk to everyone. So if you guys DM me and stuff like that, it's definitely in. But if you take things too seriously, you're gonna hate my page. So be ready for that. Oh, and you can find me on Hero Mode, y'all. HBO Max's official fandom page. So please follow Hero Mode too. And like, anytime you see my face, show it all the love so I can,
yes, Hero Mode.
Yeah.
He moving up. Yeah.
I try.
Moving on up. With that said, guys, I'm Michael. You can find me all over social media, Black Gay Comic Geek, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of that stuff. I go live every single week on my YouTube channel to talk The Last of Us. Every single episode. I'll be seeing Creed next week with Frank on Monday with Frankie. So my review for that will be dropping. And then also check out my TikTok series with my Black History Month movie spotlight and profile. And I thank you guys so much for participating and rocking with me on my first moderation channel, or my first moderated panel. Also, I want to send a special shout out and some well wishes to Divinity. She was supposed to be on this panel today, but unfortunately she got sick. And so we're sending all our thoughts and our well wishes to Divinity. But with that said, just because this panel is over, Virtuous Con is still going on. There's a panel after this. There are panels tomorrow. So make sure Divinity's social is official Divinity. Officially Divinity. So definitely check her out. But yeah, Virtuous Con is still going on. So check out the other panels. Frankie is going to be on another panel tomorrow. Frankie, real quick, do you want to plug your panel tomorrow and the time?
Yes, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be talking to a bunch of spooky ladies, sci-fi fantasy ladies, including people from Lovecraft Country, American Gods. And we're going to be talking about sci-fi and fantasy and womanhood. And it's going to be fire, y'all. I got some crazy questions, so you should definitely pull up.
Definitely pull up. I'll be there in the comments. And with that said, guys, thank you guys for checking us out. And we out. Take care.